This is Sue Kim, creator and director of the Speed Cubers, and her cinematographer, Chris Olson. If you haven't seen this incredible film on Netflix yet, go do that right now. My words will never do it justice. Recently I caught up with them to get behind the scenes and see what it was like telling the stories of Felix Zemdegs and Max Park. This was one of the coolest interviews I've done, and if you enjoyed, I highly recommend you check out the extended version where they reveal so much more about the film's production and even some Easter eggs. Link in the description below. Well, without further ado, let's talk to the brilliant creators behind what I think is one of the best documentaries on Netflix, The Speed Cubers. Sue and Chris, thank you so much for joining me today. It's an absolute honor to have you both.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us for sure.
In the short time that it's been out on Netflix, The Telegraph has given it 4 out of 5 stars. Google says that 99% of users like it. Common Sense Media, IMDb, they're saying like, see it, stream it, do whatever you can to watch it. I mean, that's got to feel pretty good.
The press has been amazing. Chris and I are on this like little private chain of like everyone's posting, the press as it's coming, and it's like, there's not a bad review in the bunch, and I'm knocking on wood right now because who knows.
Just seeing how many people are like stumbling upon it, even people who like, I'm just in a bunch of different film groups and people are like tagging me and they're like, the Netflix doc like popped up in my thing and like I watched it right away. And it's like crazy just seeing how much Netflix is pushing it, or just it's going around.
A question for you, Sue. So tell us a bit about yourself, like your background both in filmmaking and of course with cubing. I mean, that if we were in the same room, I'd be handing you a Rubik's Cube and getting you to solve it, right?
Hey, wait a minute. I just realized you got off the hook.
I never learned. I know, you guys, it's so shameful. I have I've done a few interviews like this week, and every single one of them asks me that question. And every time I'm like, it's embarrassing. I know.
So you gotta learn. I told her like while we were in production, I was like, it is a requirement that everyone who works on this project by the end of it needs to know how to solve a cube. I was like, you can't work on the film and not know how to solve a cube. So I totally forgot about that.
I just haven't had time, but also like I don't have any RAM up here to like absorb algorithms. So I need to I promise you guys, it's gonna happen.
Yep.
I just can't do it right now. I've been working on the commercial side of film production for like 20 years. So I'm a producer, usually for advertising agencies, making like Nike and Adidas commercials, but I've also worked in-house at like Nike, and now I'm at Facebook working on Facebook commercials. So I have grown up in my adult life on set. Like I've been on hundreds of sets, and this is my world. When the idea came to me to make a documentary, it wasn't foreign to me in terms of this is what I do occupationally.
Yeah.
I just never done it for film versus commercials. So that's my work background. And then how I got into cubing is my son is a cuber. So he started cubing, I think like almost 4 years ago. And literally the first time we went to a local competition, within like the first 10 minutes of being there, I thought to myself, surely someone has made a documentary about this insane world. And if they haven't, someone needs to,
Yeah.
Most serious speed cubers learned, around 300 algorithms through countless hours of practice.
I had already known that I wanted to make a documentary about cubing 2 years ago. I actually quit my job to do it. And I was like, I'm going to focus on this full time. I'm just going to do this. And then I went to the 2018 US Nationals in Salt Lake City. And that's where I saw Chris for the first time, and I saw his film, Why We Cube. And that's when I was like, oh, I need a DP. Chris would be perfect. And then that's also when I saw Max and Felix for the first time interacting. And I saw firsthand how just lovely and moving their friendship was, but also how fierce their rivalry was.
That is such an incredible alignment of the planets.
Yeah.
For that to happen, and Chris, for that incredible documentary that's now an award-winning documentary. Little did you know it would be your show reel, right, for this job. Who would have thought?
I had absolutely zero idea that was ever gonna lead to anything. When I got into cubing, I saw everyone was like on YouTube, so it was like if you cube, you kind of just had to make YouTube videos like uploading solves and. Occasionally I did some really, really bad tutorials. So like For the first like 3 or 4 years, it was just stuff with like a really old, crappy camera. Didn't really care about making videos. It was just like, well, I got to film myself. And then I got into photography with my iPhone. And then once I eventually upgraded to a DSLR that could do video, I was like, well, you know what? And I remember there was a dude, I think his name was Ivan. He made all these amazing competition films at the time. Like he did Worlds 2011 and just a lot of Russian comps. And he was like the only one doing video production and cubing, but he did it so well. So when Nats 2014 came along, I was like, I really want to do that.
Now we'll see what Felix is made of. Dude, this is so huge. This is literally everything right now.
You know, making a documentary, like the thrill, but also the crazy challenge of that is the fact that you don't have a script. What were some of the challenges that you had in putting this film together, you know, and telling the story?
Definitely from like the end of 3x3 finals until the next day. That was the biggest unknown for me, is when I saw that Max and Felix had neither won nor podiumed. That's when I was Chris, I mean, we all went out to dinner. We had like this wrap dinner, and I'm sure I seemed normal, but in my head, I was like in a mental catatonic state of like, what just happened? When my brain broke a little bit of like, I did not see that coming. And so it took until the following day, we had our post interviews with Mickey and Schwan and Felix. But when I interviewed Mickey, that's when she literally handed me the ending where she said exactly what you saw, but there was a lot more to it. It was like super emotional. Like her and I were both just sobbing throughout the interview because it'd been such a emotional, you know, fever pitch up to that point. But that's when she gave me the ending of like, this is actually the best thing that they could have hoped for, because Max's emotional resilience was amazing, and that's all that they care about for him. Like, really, is that he's like emotionally healthy. But that period was like, yeah, I was like, I don't know what this film is going to be. I have no idea what just happened.
I didn't expect well, right?
Yeah, it's okay, Max. You know, everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
Mickey was pretty much always mic'd up, and I had a wireless headset going into my camera and then headphones up to me. So if I was 100 yards away, I could hear them talking, and, you know, maybe they're doing nothing. Yeah, no, literally, there were times where I'd be in the middle of a conversation, I'd hear them say something and just pick my camera up and just start running, because I was like, this is like way too important to miss. Like, this is, that felt like a superpower.
It's being a fly on the wall with technology.
Yeah.
Yes.
With surveillance technology.
Actually, great example. Literally, you know, in the doc where after Max finishes, Mickey and him leave the room. Yeah. And I was filming on one of the stages, and I heard them. Mickey was like, okay, let's leave Max. I had no idea where they were. Like, everyone's in the room is freaking out. I lost them.
Chris, where's Max?
Literally, everyone's like on the our headsets, and they're like, you got to go find Max. I'm like, I don't know where he is. And like, the range on the mic is only so long, and they started breaking up through the walls. And I was like, I was like, I don't know where they are. So just sprinting around the different rooms, like, oh my gosh, where are they? And then, you know, found them downstairs. So that was really helpful, because if I didn't have the headset, they just would have been gone, and we wouldn't have had that.
One thing that really stood out to me was the music. Modern synth, electronic vibes that capture like the frenetic pace of speed cubing. And then this sudden change to like super tender moments that really underscore the real emotional beats of the film.
Thank you for noticing that, because the music was so important to me. Like, it was probably like the second most important thing to me in the film, besides like the actually capturing the story. I wanted a very electronic / digital feel to it, because in my mind, whether it's right or wrong, that feels very like organic to the world that we're watching and documenting. Just sort of this like I wouldn't say scientific, but this kind of like STEM-y sort of mathematical, but also like very intellectual. I definitely was like, no strings, no guitars, none of the usual orchestral score that you get in documentaries. I wanted it to have a slightly retro feel
Yep.
of like almost like music that could have been from like the 80s, but like in a really cool way.
Yeah.
Because to me, that also represents the retro era of the original Rubik's Cube.
Towards the end of it, I just had this like, I feel like I should watch Stranger Things next, you know?
Yes,
And that's,
yes.
you know, that's 80s, that's,
Yes.
but it's Netflix too.
I don't think Felix knows how big of an impact he has on Max's life.
Were there any scenes or things that had to be cut that you really wanted in there that you thought were funny or just would have been cool?
So we edited a feature length. And there's a lot of things we had to cut. I missed the karaoke scene. Like, I know we visually referenced the karaoke, but we actually shot a lot of karaoke, and we had a scene in there originally with it. And it was very, it was so touching. Like,
Yeah.
Max and Felix did a duet, and it was just like as heartwarming as you can imagine. And then also, I miss the warm up Sydney. I miss warm up Sydney a lot because we covered that, and that was a good chunk. That was a big scene, and I miss that because we caught such great moments between Max and Mickey in that scene. And
oh yes, oh man, yeah.
It contextually made sense of the Felix crossing the room to sit with Max, and that was like when they were in the green room. They're number 1 and 2 going into the finals, and all the other finalists had left, and so then it's just Felix and Max sitting on opposite ends of the green room. And immediately Felix gets up and crosses to sit next to Max. And Chris is amazing. He was there and he caught it, and he framed. Chris, that framing was so beautiful. Going wide with that and then watching. It was such a genius call on your part. But I miss that because we kept the crossing scene, but you don't get the context of like
context.
Yeah. It's them. They're about to face off with each other for the finals, and they're still connecting and so kind, and it's still there.
It was actually my favorite shot of the entire film. I think it captures visually just the heart of the entire story. You know, this is Max, who probably would, you know, cross over to Felix if he could, right? You know, like emotionally, but Felix does, you know, and they're together, and it's beautiful. All right. Well, hey, speaking of behind the scenes, I actually have a little something prepared for you guys. So I have asked a few people in the cubing world and some people who you might know to just record some short messages in response to this film, which I'd like to play to you now.
Thank you so much for doing an amazing job creating the Speedkeepers film. I just loved how it showed the friendship aspect of cubing in such an emotional and meaningful way.
Thank you so much for sharing our hobby in such a wholesome manner and making me feel like I was at World Championships 2019 because I really wanted to be there. Oh, and thank you for making me cry as well.
It was absolutely incredible. It was amazing to see a touching cubing story in the mainstream done in such an elegant and meaningful way. I just want to say thanks for creating a truly one-of-a-kind project.
It demonstrated one thing that I think is often missed from the outside looking in. It's not just a group of people trying to solve a cube fast. It's a community, it's a family, and we all really work to help each other.
Thank you for showing the world some of the reasons why I love the cubing community and continue spending my time helping make competitions possible.
Hi Sue, thanks so much for making the Speedkeepers documentary. I think it shows how exciting speedcubing can be, as well as how awesome and inclusive the types of people in our community are.
Hopefully this documentary, helps bring other people in, and we can just keep growing and keep sharing experiences together.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. Oh man, got me teary.
That's how it feels like, all right? That's a taste of your own medicine. I mean, one really common reaction that people had to this film is that they didn't expect to cry. It's a bit sneaky of you to pull us in with like the cubes and the competition and then just like bring out the onions. Like, what's the deal?
I mean, we have it there, and that's kind of how it happened. So it's just sort of like, well, you know, if we're going to cry, you guys have to cry with us.
I've seen this like 4 or 5 times now, and I still almost cry. I filmed it. I knew what happened. I knew what the story was going to be. And I still almost cry every time. I know the whole entire outcome. And every time Felix starts talking, I'm like, why Felix?
There were a lot of tears in the production of it. I'll say that. So,
oh man,
good, happy crying. So.
Yeah, those interviews on that last day, there were a lot of lot of emotion flowing in these interviews.
Sobbing during Mickey's interview. I had to go take like a mile-long walk after that just to like shake it off and get like in my headspace for Schwann's interview.
So, you know, Max and Felix, these are our heroes. And seeing them, we've seen them at their absolute highest, and we got to see them at a real low, you know, at a real place of vulnerability. What was it like for you, just knowing that they were so willing to be vulnerable, you know, and open up their stories to you?
It like definitely made me feel like uber responsible and uber self-conscious about making sure that I was telling their story right.
Yeah.
Because they were so vulnerable and because they were so unguarded and allowed us to capture them in those unguarded moments where they were really feeling true mixture of emotions of melancholy, sadness, but like connectivity and love for each other. Like, 'cause it was a very, especially like, you know, you saw the scenes backstage and like afterwards, after they both lost the victory finals, like that to me, that's like the most special part of the film is that like they both showed us and, you know, the rest of the world, I think all of the really like the lovely beauty and depth and wisdom that you can sometimes only find in those low places, in the hard places, you know?
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Makes us stronger.
Yeah, makes us stronger, okay?
Exactly. You still beat me. Exactly.
I asked my 6-year-old yesterday what he thought of the film, and he said it wasn't just about cubing, was it? It was about being friends. And no podium makes us stronger. Like, he said that verbatim, and I'm like, oh, because I mean, like, that's what we want our kids to hear, right? Like that's what we need to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that was literally the story arc of the Parks, is like all they want for Max is that he's emotionally healthy and resilient, and that he feels good about himself, and he feels good about his performance, and that he can be, and he can recuperate from defeats and losses. No podium makes us stronger. That's like, it's a perfect catchphrase, but that's what he's saying is like, I can bounce back from this. I can be stronger, better, more resilient because of this.
Yeah.
So.
When you think about what this film has accomplished, what are you proudest of?
When you can tell a story that like gives other people hope or encourages them in some way, or just like makes them, you know, I don't know, want to live like a better type of life. That to me is like such a powerful thing to be able to do with a film, especially with everything going on right now in the world with like just how crazy it is. Like, it's one of those things where I almost feel like some adults would like look at this and be like, okay, these kids have it figured out. Like, why can't we be like that? Like, what are we doing?
Message that someone sent me after watching it, which their quote was basically like, this film made me like humans again, which is, you know, cheeky and funny, but actually like at the heart of it, I'm like, great. Isn't that the point? Shouldn't we all be trying to like each other? Like, let's try to like each other. Like, let's remember we can do this. Like, in the best settings and with the best humans, we can all like each other again, you know?
Yeah.
So, that's my favorite quote so far, is like, I like humans again. I'm like, great.
Wait, Sue, have you seen what some of people's favorite line in the whole doc is? Like, everyone laughs at this.
Yes, I know exactly what you say, and I had to fight to keep it in because Netflix did not think it was that awesome. It's that you have to buy ketchup, right?
Yes.
I pulled
oh
it
my
out.
goodness.
I was like, that is the best, most brilliant line. And of course it comes from Schwann, who's so smart and he's so articulate. And he's just trying to demonstrate like, there's all these mundane duties you have as an adult. And of course he hits off on the big ones, like you have to find a partner, you have to pay rent. But then it's like, no, you have to buy ketchup. And that is a real thing.
It is so beautiful. Yeah.
I want to have a t-shirt with that. You have to buy ketchup.
He should get a t-shirt that says, and you have to buy ketchup. I honestly think if that was turned into a shirt, people would buy it. I really think people would buy that.
We could take it one step further and just be like, I could have been a world championship cuber, but I had to buy ketchup. Or like,
Hey guys, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to when this continues, just blows up even more when it starts receiving so many awards, and then you have to release the extended version because of the fans. Man, that will be the dream.
That would be amazing.
I hope so. If there's like enough demand, I'm happy for that.
Cool.
All
Thanks,
right.
Sue. Thanks, Chris. See ya.
Sounds good.
If you enjoyed that, check out the full version of this interview, where they reveal even more, like other scenes that didn't make the final cut, or this other interview with someone that you might recognize. Thank you again to Sue and Chris for hanging out with me. I cannot wait to see what else you create in the future. Take care, everyone.